You are listening to the Outlaw Podcast with me, your host, Andrea Hall. I am a certified equine gestalt coach, speaker, 3-time author, and lawyer. I help women lawyers who are miserable in their career, struggling with mental and emotional health issues, wanting to have fun in their lives, and struggling to be selfish. After fulfilling my dream of being a criminal defense attorney and opening my own law practice right out of law school, I thought I had it all. While at the height of my career, my 18-month-old puppy died, and I thought, what am I killing myself for? Sometime later, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and my world turned upside down. It was in that moment I realized something had to change. This podcast is about sharing my journey with you about what is possible in your life outside the legal profession, stopping the adulting and being able to play as a child, inspiring you to dream again. Let the journey begin.
Hello, this is Andrea coming at you for another episode of Outlaw. I have just discovered I have imposter syndrome. What? Not that I just discovered it. I just realized it had a name. Imposter syndrome. It's defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Imposters suffer from chronic self-doubt and a sense of intellectual fraudulence that override any feelings of success or external proof of a person's competence. And I was like, wow, there's a name for what I actually have? So imposter syndrome doesn't equate to some sort of low self-esteem or lack of self-confidence. In fact, the research shows that it's actually linked to perfectionism, and it's especially high in women. I actually think I've suffered from this since I was born. I've been a perfectionist since I can remember. I remember going to stay at a friend's house as a child and coming home, and I would say to my mom, somebody's been in my bedroom. And she would say, how do you know somebody's been in your bedroom? And I would say, because the carpet's out of place. I just always knew that someone had been in my bedroom because the bed wasn't made exactly how I made it. Something was just off, and I always knew. And I have always been a perfectionist in everything that I do. And I know that there are other women lawyers, other women business owners and executives who suffer from this. In fact, I see comments by my colleagues in numerous of the Facebook groups that I'm in that talk about this syndrome all the time. And I actually didn't know until today when I Googled it that it actually did exist. It's like, when Santa Claus is in the M&M commercial and the M&Ms see Santa Claus and they go, oh my God, he does exist. That's exactly how I felt when I read this information about this syndrome, imposter syndrome. And it's something that I struggle with because I know that we want it all, right? Women want to have the family, they want to have the success, and I and them suffer from this self-doubt and this intellectual fraudulence. And the definition of intellectual fraudulence is a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evidence of success. And this is definitely something that I struggle with and I talk about in my head all the time. I have evidence of success, yet there's this self-doubt still that's chattering in my head, telling me it's not enough and that I need to be more and have more. And for me, success doesn't seem like it's ever enough. it almost feels like I'm checking off a box on my to-do list. In fact, I talked about this recently at a training. I said, I can set goals, I can achieve them because I said I was going to do it, and there's no emotional fluctuation for me. I'm flatlined. It doesn't seem like when I get to the end and I've gotten the goal that it's any major accomplishment. Why? Because I said I was going to do it, so I did it. I've checked off the box. So we move on to the next goal. What's the next big thing that I'm going to say that I'm going to do and I'm going to achieve? Whether it's law school, a new career, buying a house, getting a car, getting married, it's a check and we move on. And most people are excited when they've achieved something big and successful, yet it doesn't seem rewarding or create that feeling of success or joy for me. I recently read an article by Jill Corkindale, and she talked about some of the things that you need to look for to determine whether or not you have this imposter syndrome. And one of the things she talked about is, I must not fail. And there can be a huge amount of pressure currently not in failing in order to be found out that you're not successful. And success also becomes an issue as it brings that added pressure of responsibility and visibility. And this leads to an inability to enjoy success. And for me, I struggle with this because I want everything to be perfect. And failure isn't an option, which makes the stakes really high for me. So I don't want to jump in unless I know it's going to be perfect because I don't want to fail. And I know some people are scared of the success, yet for me, it's really being fearful of the failure. What if I don't complete that? One of the other things she talks about is that this imposter syndrome, people feel like they're being fake. Imposters believe that they do not deserve the success or the professional accolades and feel that somehow others have been deceived into thinking otherwise. They believe that they give the impression that they are more competent than they are, and they have deep feelings that they lack the knowledge or expertise. Another is that success is no big deal, and I just talked about that. The tendency to downplay your success and discount it as marked in this imposter syndrome. And you might attribute your success to it was just an easy task, or you had support, or it was luck. And you often have hard times accepting compliments. You deflect them and you don't receive the compliment that you were actually successful and that you did a good job. And this is another area that I struggle with, that I, just previously talked about. It's easy for me to set the goal. It's easy for me to achieve the goal, yet getting to the success and actually enjoying it or receiving the compliment that I did a fantastic job or that it was well deserved. It's easy for me to deflect that and say, well, it wasn't as hard as you thought, or, I had support with that, things of that nature. And I'm wondering if any of these things that I've outlined today from this article sound familiar to you. I know they really resonated for me when I read this article. And I know I was looking for solutions because, like I said, I've struggled with this so-called syndrome since I was a child. And some of the things that I have found that work for me, I would like to share with you. And these are some of the things that I use to help battle this syndrome. And the first thing is to actually recognize the feelings when they emerge. And the key is the actual awareness. And once you see what it is, you will no longer be able to put your head in the sand and ignore that piece. It may not go away, yet you will ultimately be able to work on a solution to start minimizing that feeling, or at least allowing that feeling to not be as frequent. Another is to rewrite your mental programs. These beliefs probably came back from childhood, and I've talked about this in prior episodes, where by the time you're 5 years old, you have 50% of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your values. And by the time you're 18 years old, you have 95% of your 95% of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your values. And if those beliefs and values are not working for you, you need to find a way to rewrite those and discover what you do believe to create the shift and the change. Another is to talk about your feelings. I know that being a lawyer, a high-powered executive, it's not always easy to have a safe haven to share your feelings. And this is why I do this podcast, because I know that there are other women that are out there that are suffering with this syndrome just like me. And I know there's people that want a place to find out how they can shift and change. And we need a place to share our thoughts and work towards a solution instead of harboring in the negativity. Another one is reframing your failure as a learning opportunity. I know that I do not like to fail, yet what I have found is that the lessons from a failure are far greater than what I learned from being successful. And to use those failures constructively in the future and use them as a falling forward so that you can have a different result. And like I said, this is an area that I struggle with, and I beat myself up constantly. Yet there is a way to actually put the hammer down and do something different. And the last and most important one is to be kind to yourself. And I know this is difficult because I do it to myself all the time. There are things that I say to myself that I would never allow another human being to say to me, yet I say it to myself. And so the hammer that I sometimes carry around is very big. And so I would ask you to put the hammer down and allow yourself to be gentle and take the lessons that you've learned and again move forward with those lessons. I hope that this has been helpful. I hope you have learned about the imposter syndrome and that you can laugh at it, yet you can also learn from it and figure out how you can take your imposter syndrome and make it a success for all your goals and dreams that you want to create in 2020 in this new decade. So if you have found this helpful and you would like to share some of the things that you have found to help put your imposter syndrome at bay, I would love for you to comment below. Until next time, make it a great day. Thanks for tuning in to another episode.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Outlaw. There is life after litigation. If anything I said in this episode resonates with you, call for a free exploratory session to see how I can help you. My horses will give you instantaneous feedback, unlike traditional talk therapy. You will shift your awareness into real time with the help of a horse. The horses are like lie detectors, flushing out limiting beliefs with a swish of their tail, a shift of their 1,200-pound body, or a simple unwillingness to move. Horses have a way of seeing into the window of our souls. Horses have been connected to humanity since the dawn of time. Their hearts can heal and mend our broken hearts. Simply standing in their presence can change our lives forever, putting the puzzle pieces back together and returning us to wholeness. Horses are restoring the parts of us that have been missing. You can call us at 970-682-4405 to set up your appointment today. Want to be inspired daily? See about our latest events or purchase a copy of my books? go to our website at www.witherswhisper.com. That's www.witherswhisper.com. Or you can follow us on any social media venue at Withers Whisper. Until the next episode, listen to the whispers.